Surely this looks as bumpy as it feels.
Yeah, seems extra bumpy. I should fix that. Every vehicle needs suspension to be comfortable. Just having a spring is not the solution. Every bump would cause residual bouncing, giving you the look of a bobblehead. That's where shocks and struts come in. These resist the spring movement in both directions, smoothing out the ride. This 2007 Ford Mustang GT is 15 years old with 130,000 miles. As far as I can tell, the shocks and struts have never been replaced. As shocks wear, their ability to dampen lessens. Common signs of this are the ride becoming super firm and juddery or extra bouncy. Another common sign is fluid leaking from the shock. This was the issue with the air shocks I installed last year. Now the Mustang's front struts are showing signs of leaking as well. Let's throw some new parts on. A shock and strut are basically the same thing. They both have a rod that is dampened by fluid flowing through a restriction. A shock is designed to work separately from the spring. A strut is designed to have the spring mount around the outside of the shock body, with the load being transferred through the shock body. Strut assemblies are commonly used in place of upper control arms. This creates a simplified suspension setup. Some would argue that this makes the car less stable when cornering, but I'm not here to rant about engineers. We're setting up for quarter-mile drag racing anyway. No turns necessary. Since my air shock video covered replacing rear shocks, I'm not going to show that here. There's a link up here in the corner to that video. The front struts will come out as one assembly. Start by removing the front wheel. Disconnect any wires near the strut assembly. There are 2 bolts to remove on the spindle, 1 nut for the sway bar, and 4 nuts on the top of the strut tower. An impact may not work to remove the sway bar nut. If that's the case, then the center shaft of the joint must be held while removing the nut. Move the hub assembly down until the strut assembly can be removed. It's a good idea to support the rotor assembly with a floor jack. Now the strut is removed, we can get to the dangerous part. We will be using a spring compressor. Improper use of this tool can cause injury. Don't be that idiot. This is a 2-piece compressor. Alternate tightening each side until the top strut mount is free to move. Then pull the compressed spring off the old strut. Remove this holding wire before installing the new parts. Install the spring onto the new strut. The top mount will line up a certain way. Install the top mount and tighten the nut before releasing the compressed spring. Again, alternate loosening the spring compressor, making sure the spring is seated properly in the base. Here's the mark on the top mount for the proper alignment. The arrow points to the outside of the vehicle, which also lines up with the lower strut mounts. Reinstall the strut in reverse of removal. You may need to start threading the top nuts to help hold everything in place. With everything reinstalled, take a test drive.
I don't know how this looks on camera, but I definitely feel a difference in the shocks. These are a little bit smoother and more responsive. The car feels tighter. I like it.